Now let's move on to the communicative functions of English intonation, which is the key reason why we need to teach it. English intonation has 4 major functions, including attitudinal, accentual, grammatical, and discourse functions. Attitudinal function is related to attitudes and emotions a speaker expresses through the variations in tone. Now let's take a look at what attitudes or emotions can be expressed by the following 5 tones. 4 can indicate finality, completion, definiteness, indifference, disbelief, unfriendliness. Let's watch the video from Harry Potter.
We swore when we took him in we'd put a stop to all this rubbish.
You knew. You knew all along and you never told me.
Of course we knew.
In this example, Harry couldn't believe his uncle and aunt already knew everything about his parents and magic. His aunt also uses a fall, but in an unfriendly way.
We swore when we took him in we'd put a stop to all this rubbish.
You knew. You knew all along and you never told me.
Of course we knew.
A rise is normally used to express more to follow or encouraging. Here is an example from Mr. Ollivander.
Here we are. Give it a wave.
In this example, Mr. Ollivander encourages Harry to try the wand and see if it fits him. We can hear a clear rise.
Here we are. Give it a wave.
As for full rise, it is normally used to show uncertainty, doubt, and requesting. Here is a video clip from Ron's brothers.
Rough game, Quidditch. Brutal, but no one's died in years. Someone will vanish occasionally, but they'll turn up in a month or 2.
Ron's brothers tell Harry someone will vanish sometimes during the Quidditch game, but they are not quite sure about it. So they use a full rise to show uncertainty.
Rough game, Quidditch. Brutal, but no one's died in years. Someone will vanish occasionally, but they'll turn up in a month or 2.
A rise fall is typically used to sound surprised or impressed. Let's watch the video from Harry's cousin Dudley. Here, Dudley is astonished at his father's behavior. He thinks that his father seems to be mad. The rise fall is realized on the phrase, "gone mad." Regarding level tone, it is used to say something routine, uninteresting or boring. Here is a video clip from Kung Fu Panda.
No, we all have our place in this world. Mine is here, and yours is...
I know, is here.
No, it's a table 2, 5, 7, and 12. Service with a smile.
Here, Poe answers his dad in a relatively perfunctory way, by using a level tone, although he wants to learn Kung Fu at the Jade Palace. Let's watch it again.
No, we all have our place in this world. Mine is here, and yours is...
I know, is here.
No, it's a table 2, 5, 7, and 12. service with a smile.
Here is a summary of the attitudinal meanings conveyed by the 5 tones. Please note that a non-fall, particularly a rise and a fall rise, are often used for non-finality. The accentual function serves to highlight new information within a message, emphasize and draw attention to specific parts, through the use of tonality and tone. Here's a video from J.K. Rowling.
Now all I have to do is take deep breaths, squint at the red banners, and convince myself that I am at the world's largest Gryffindor reunion.
In this video, J.K. Rowling is delivering a speech at Harvard commencement, and she thinks of the commencement as a Gryffindor reunion, so Gryffindor is the most prominent in the last IP. She tries to relate the commencement to Harry Potter element, which makes the speech more intriguing. Here is another video, from Draco. Let's see what kind of information Draco wants to emphasize.
Luckily, a very simple charm exists to repel a boggart. Let's practice it now. Without wands, please. After me. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Very good. A little louder. Very clear. Listen. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
This class is ridiculous.
Very good.
In this example, students are learning a boggart-banishing spell ridiculous, which sounds like ridiculous. Draco thinks this class is ridiculous. Ridiculous here can be seen as a piece of old or given information, so the nucleus occurs earlier on the last piece of new information, that is, class.
Let's practice it now. Without wands, please. After me. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Very good. A little louder. Very clear. Listen. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
This class is ridiculous.
Very good.
Grammatical function is to indicate grammatical structures by tonality and tone. Typically, the grammatical function is demonstrated by creating sentences that, in written form, seem ambiguous and can only be clarified by using variations in intonation. Take this sentence as an example. How do you say it? How do you break the sentence into chunks, IPs? Actually, there are at least 2 ways. Assuming it's a defining relative clause. Let's consider the clause used to modify those only. It can be either who sold quickly or who sold. With the IPs change, the pitch patterns change as well. So, for the first one, quickly is the nucleus and can be realized in a non-fall. Here a fall rise can be used to indicate non-finality. As for the words those and sold, they are the accented words in the first IP. As for the second IP of the first sentence, the nucleus is the stressed syllable of profit. And the word made, it's accented. While for the second sentence, the nucleus of the first IP is sold. Similarly, it can be realized in a non-fall, like a fall rise used here. As for those, it's an accented word. For the second IP, the nucleus is still the stressed syllable of profit. As for the words quickly and made, they are both accented. So the intonation patterns of these 2 sentences are totally different. For sentence 1, it would be said in this way. Those who sold quickly made a profit. For sentence 2, it could be. Those who sold quickly made a profit. Here is another example. It's about relative clauses. There are 2 kinds of relative clauses, defining and non-defining. They look very similar but have different meanings. The first sentence is a defining clause. It implies that I have more than one sister. I am talking about the particular one who lives in Hong Kong, not my other sisters. It's kind of essential information. For this sentence, it has only one IP. While for the second sentence, it is a non-defining relative clause. It implies my having only one sister. I gave additional information about where she lives. The comma here actually can be seen as a hint for tonality, so there are two IPs, which leads to different pitch patterns from the first sentence. So the first syllable of sister and the second syllable of Hong Kong in the second sentence are the nuclei of the two IPs. And Kong is also the only nucleus of the first sentence. Sister is accented in the first sentence, and lives in both sentences are accented. So the first sentence might be said in this way. She's my sister who lives in Hong Kong. As for the second one, it might be said in this way. She's my sister who lives in Hong Kong. Here comes to the last communicative function we are going to mention. English intonation can serve to signal discourse structure and indicate transition between speakers. According to the discourse functions of sentences, we now show you the tone meaning from the following sentence types: statements, questions, exclamations, commands, interjections, and greetings. These types of sentences can all be said with a default tone. Still, we mainly focus on three tones, namely fall, rise, and fall rise. A default fall can be used in statements, the last item in lists, WH questions, closed tag questions, exclamations, commands, and interjections and greetings. We are very familiar with the following sentence types where a default fall is used. So here we just have a quick look at the examples. For statements, like, is Harry? For WH questions, like, what's your name? For exclamations, it can be, what a nice day. For commands, like, try again. As for interjections and greetings, such as, wow, that's cool, thank you. When it comes to lists, the last item of a list is said with a default fall. Let me play the video clip from Harry. Please focus on the listing part, particularly the last item toad.
All students must be equipped with one standard size 2 pewter cauldron, and may bring, if they desire, either an owl, a cat, or a toad.
The last item toad is realized in a falling tone.
And may bring, if they desire, either an owl, a cat, or a toad.
A default fall is also used in closed tag. This type of tag question is asked to seek agreement. For example,
I've got Dumbledore. I got about 6 of him. Hey, he's gone. Well, you can't expect him to run around all day, can you?
Ron believes that Professor Dumbledore is quite busy with school matters, so he can't stay here all day. So he uses a falling tone to expect that Harry will agree with him.
Hey, he's gone. Well, you can't expect him to run around all day, can you?
As for default rise, it can be used in yes-no questions, open tag questions, checking, statement questions, and the non-final items in the lists. In yes-no questions, the nuclear tone is normally a rise. For simple sentences, I think it's easier. But how about this sentence in this example? Before watching the video clip, can you have a try? Now let's see how Poe says this sentence.
I know you're trying to be all mystical and kung fu-y, but could you at least tell me where we're going?
So there is a clear rise at the end of the sentence. Although it's a complex sentence, with a noun clause which seems like a statement, the nuclear tone is still a rise.
But could you at least tell me where we're going?
A default rise is also employed in an open tag. Open tag questions are used to ask for information. It's kind of a true question. Let's watch the video clip from Harry.
Stick to your chicken.
Platform 9. But Hagrid, there must be a mistake. This is platform 9 3/4. There's no such thing, is there?
Here Harry is asking Hagrid a question, as he is not sure if there's platform 9 3/4.
Platform 9 But Hagrid, there must be a mistake. This is platform 9 3/4. There's no such thing, is there?
For checking, a default rise is normally used. Actually, it includes several subtypes, such as pardon questions and echo questions. Here we only introduce echo questions. In echo questions, the speakers repeat or echo part or all of a previous statement. Let's watch it together.
What were you dreaming about?
What was I was dreaming about, noodles.
Noodles? You were really dreaming about noodles?
Yeah. What else would I be dreaming about?
We can hear a clear rise used by Poe's dad.
I was dreaming about, noodles.
Noodles? You were really dreaming about noodles?
For statement questions, the default intonation is also a rise. This sentence type has the form of a statement but functions as a question. Here is a video clip from Poe.
You want to get something to eat?
Yeah.
You can consider this sentence as a full yes-no question, like do you want to get something to eat, so it would be easier for us to understand. In lists, the tone or non-final item is normally rise. Now let's watch the video clip from Harry. Please just focus on the first and second items, owl and cat.
All students must be equipped with one standard size 2 pewter cauldron, and may bring, if they desire, either an owl, a cat, or a toad.
So every item except the last one is realized in a rise.
Either an owl, a cat, or a toad.
Sometimes some types of sentences are said with other tones instead of the default tone. For example, a rise can be used in WH questions, commands, and interjections and greetings. While a full rise can be used in statements, when it comes to the following situations, including to imply something further, to show reservations, for polite corrections, in negative statements. Here is a video clip from Ron, for full rise used in a statement.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. She's a nightmare, honestly. No wonder she hasn't got any friends.
We can hear a small rise at the end of friends. This is a negative statement. Ron here uses a full rise to make a guess as to why Hermione hasn't got any friends.
No wonder she hasn't got any friends.
For a yes-no question, it can be said with a full to be more insistent, serious, perhaps more threatening. Let's watch the video clip.
He's boring.
Sorry about him. He doesn't understand what it's like, lying there day after day, watching people press their ugly faces in on you.
Can you hear me?
Harry believes the snake can hear him. So he uses an insistent fall. Let's listen to it again.
Can you hear me?
Another commonly used tone in yes-no questions is a full rise. It is used to show politeness, particularly in British English. Let's listen to the recordings.
Have you got any science background?
Have you got any questions?
Did you see the beautiful sky last night?
By the way, the nuclei of the second and the third sentence occur earlier, rather than on the last word. This kind of pattern could be unfamiliar to us. By incorporating the systems and communicative functions of intonation I just introduced, a flow chart can be designed to help learners understand and apply intonation patterns effectively. Now let's have a look at the flowchart for deciding the appropriate intonation patterns. Step 1. How many intonation phrases? You may consider its grammatical structures and make use of pauses to break the utterance into IPs. Step 2. Which syllables of the content or important words are stressed? You need to focus on the lexical stress of each word within an IP, and focus more attention on the accented words. Step 3. Which syllable is the nucleus of each IP? Once you identify the focus of the information, you may find out the nucleus. Remember, each IP has one nucleus only. And a nucleus is one syllable. Step 4. Which pitch pattern fits each of the IPs? You need to place yourself in the context to consider the discourse function, attitudes, or emotions to help you choose the appropriate intonation pattern. In addition to the decision flowchart, we prepared a variety of suggested teaching activities that can be integrated into your classroom. Here are a few examples of these activities. For more details and ready-made materials, please refer to the handbook that will be released soon. The first activity is identifying and discriminating the 3 T's or communicative functions. Students may be instructed to listen to the recordings and indicate the IP, nucleus, tone, or the communicative functions. For example, students can be asked to identify the tones of monosyllabic words, or the attitudinal function conveyed in the recording. By engaging in this activity, students can enhance their perceptual sensitivity to intonation, and develop a better understanding of how intonation is used in communication. The second activity is identification of inappropriate intonation. You may provide students with recordings of sentences that are considered inappropriate in the use of intonation, either from their peers or learners from accessible corpus data. And then ask them to decide whether the intonation is appropriate or not. This type of analytic task may encourage students to apply the rules they acquired, and strengthen their understanding of the rules. The third activity is intonation pattern discovery. You may give your students a list of sentences, and ask them to use different intonation patterns to read aloud the sentences in a natural way, and record themselves at the same time. After recording, you may ask them to analyze themselves in terms of the intonation pattern used. Of course, students can be invited to share their recordings with each other and discuss the intonation patterns employed. Through such kind of discovery activity, students will not only gain a deeper understanding of intonation patterns, but also develop the learning autonomy.